Today we're working on a 1985 Westfalia Vanagon, and we're going to be replacing the original refrigerator, the propane AC/DC unit, with a Truckfridge TF49 AC/DC unit. One of the first steps we're going to need to do is remove this front panel around the refrigerator. We're also going to need to take the drawer and the door panels off to have access to some screw points. We have to remove these plastic caps. Sometimes they break off. We're not going to be reusing them, but basically that exposes the screw head here. On my fridge we have 4 total. I think on some versions there are 5. And I'm using this little hook probe, but you can use whatever screwdriver. Next thing we have to do is we have to take off the refrigerator as well as the cabinet door and take this drawer out of the cabinet here. To remove the door itself, you need to just pull up on the hinge and it should move freely off, and set that aside. The other cabinet door, you do the same thing where you pull up and should slide off fairly easily. In order to remove the drawer, you need to pull it out, and there are 2 white tabs underneath the bottom that you need to push down to slide the drawer completely out. And then once you push them down, you just remove the drawer and set it aside. One of the first steps you need to do here to get the old original fridge out is remove this vent cover here. There's 3 screws that you take out. Mine actually only has 2 because 1 is missing, but normally there'd be a 3rd screw over here. And so, you get that. You get 2 plates here, the outside and the inside cover. Now what we've got to do is remove 2 additional screws to completely disconnect the fridge exhaust vent to the outer plate here, and then we're going to replace this outer plate with a solid plate to prevent water from going in, and we'll put all the parts back in after we get that done. So now we've got that separated from the retainer plate. So this here is the exhaust vent from the original fridge. When the fridge is running, it exhausts heat and it needs to go somewhere, so this is the original vent that came in. The new fridge just runs on electric, AC and DC, but no propane option, so it doesn't need the same type of venting system that the original did. In order to remove the refrigerator and the front panel, there's a total of 9 screws that need to be taken out. There's 5 for the front panel and 4 that hold the refrigerator in itself. We're going to start off here with the front panel, removing the 4 face screws, and there's also an additional screw underneath that we need to remove. Some of these vans, depending on the year, may have a different number of screws. They do vary a little bit. There's a total of 4 screws that hold the refrigerator in itself. Access to the first one is actually in this cabinet that you open up, and inside here there's going to be a screw that you access. The next screw on this side is down here in this little cubby. And now we have 2 on this side. There's an upper and a lower. So now that all the screws have been removed, the panel should be free to be pulled off. You should just have to pull it off right in the corner here. The next step is to come into the cabinet here, and we need to unplug the refrigerator from the outlet. This is the propane line that attaches to the back of the refrigerator here. So what you're going to need to do is get a wrench on it. You may need to get a wrench on this other part over here, and basically you're going to need to unscrew that bolt. Loosen it, and once you get it loose, you should be able to just screw it off to free the propane line. So now that we have all the screws out, we have it unplugged from the electrical outlet and the propane line disconnected, we should be able to just gently pull on the refrigerator and slowly wiggle it out. So I was struggling to get the refrigerator completely out. I went to the other side of the van and realized that the exhaust vent had gotten stuck on the lip of the metal here. So I just needed to come out and kind of pop it off, and then that released the tension. Another thing I realized is I forgot to unplug the DC power source in the back here. It's just this white plug. You basically just have to pull on it, release it, that finally frees up the refrigerator there. And now we can finally get the old refrigerator out. So after the fridge is out and we clean the area a little bit, we need to do a little bit of customization. We need to remove a little bit of fiberboard behind the cabinet to make room for the new fridge, as it's a little bit larger. Up here I drew a rough line here, and so we're going to just use a little handsaw and try to remove this. Another thing we need to do to customize the space is we need to move this outlet box to the right so that it's flush, so we can slide the fridge back. We need to unscrew this outlet box, take the cover off first, and then with the install kit, we're gonna add these longer screws with these spacers to push the box out here and keep it flush on the other side. The last piece of customizing here is to remove this piece of wood in order to make room for the install kit. We're going to be using this weight bearing bracket here, and we're going to secure it to the left wall of the van. We'll go ahead and install the second bracket. Now that we have the support brackets installed, we need to install the side mounted support plates. We're going to do the right one first here. Note the extra holes on the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this up against the side over here, and we're going to actually take a level, put it up against the cabinet, and make sure that it's flush. Once it's flush on the bottom there, we're going to install some screws and work our way up. There's 5 total on each side. Now that we have both side mounting plates in, we're going to add this little piece of trim to cover up this gap here. And next we're going to put these 4 U-nuts in, make sure the flat side is facing out. 4 additional U-nuts will be installed in the bottom as well, 2 on each side. The last part of the install kit is the front faceplate here. We're going to install this with 4 machine screws. Now that we have the install kit in place, it's time to put in the fridge. This is the Truckfridge TF49 AC/DC model. The great thing about this new fridge when compared to the old fridge, first off, is the amount of space. This one's definitely deeper, especially on the bottom. Has a freezer here as well. It keeps things much colder than the original. It's much more efficient. The nice thing about that is with a house battery and solar backup, you can pretty much run this fridge indefinitely on DC power, but always have the option to plug it in to a standard outlet as well. In order to hook up the AC aspect of this install, we just need to take this standard plug. We're going to pass it through a hole back here and just reinstall it into the outlet. For the DC, we have a couple of options. If you're going to wire it back into the original house battery system, you would want to hook it up to the plugs that were here previously. The install kit comes with some spade adapters that you can hook it up to. You're going to hook these 2 wires here, the positive and the negative. The other option is to install it directly powered to the house battery, which in our case is under the bench seat in the van. Now it's time to see if the fridge will fit in place. Slide it on back here. Not quite on that one side, close. Well, the fridge fits great. We had to wiggle around some wires a little bit just to make a little bit of room, but it slid right into place. Now the last part of this is to install the fridge with 4 screws. And that's how you swap out the original fridge in a 1985 Vanagon. Please remember to like and subscribe. Join us next time on the Van Dog.